I am Greg Martin. I am Arms and Armor Consultant to Butterfield and Butterfield in San Francisco, the largest American-owned auction house. What you are about to see are highlights from the most extensive collection of Bowie knives that has ever been offered or seen on television. Well, just what is a Bowie knife, and what part did it play in American history? It all began with a knife like this that James Bowie's brother Reason had made for him after an attack was made on James's life. Soon after, the knife was put to good use when Jim Bowie met several adversaries at a sandbar on the banks of the Mississippi River. During this melee, Bowie was gravely wounded, but managed to save his own life by killing his main enemy, Major Norris Wright. The fact of his almost dying and yet surviving a combined attack of 4 armed men caught the popular imagination, and the Bowie legend was born. There is much controversy surrounding the gun and blacksmiths who actually fabricated the first Bowie knives. The knives did, however, originate in Louisiana, and their style was probably influenced by earlier French and Spanish knives. A confluence of shapes and sizes occurred during the years 1827 to 1835. One of the earliest knives known is this specimen, dating from around 1830. It best embraces the features associated with the first Bowie knives. It has a near straight back blade, it is guardless, mounted in coined silver, and has a coffin-shaped handle. Another style most commonly associated with a Bowie knife is this massive frontier knife with a Texas history. It has a classic clip-point blade named after the profile of the clipper ships of its day. Equally impressive is its massive metal scabbard. One of the most rare and historic knives of this collection is this early classic coffin hilt model bearing the words Bowie No. 1 inscribed on an escutcheon plate mounted on the handle. It is silver bound and features a silver rope border along the grip. It has a most intriguing profile. Here you can see an early indication of a clip point blade. It is possible that this is the type of knife carried by James Bowie during his defense of the Alamo. Once the knife is turned over, the thumb can then brace the upper part of the blade at the hilt, giving the knife added stability, maneuverability, and thrust. It then becomes aligned with the arm, and with the blade up, it presents the classic fighting position most likely used by James Bowie and his contemporaries. One of the most delicate and finely crafted early American coffin hilt knives was made by Marks and Reese of Cincinnati, Ohio, around 1835. It is silver hilted, bears rosewood scales mounted with silver studs and an escutcheon plaque. It has a semi-clip point blade with an unsharpened or false edge. Shively of Philadelphia made this unusual model with a spear-pointed blade and checkered horn handle. Shively, a surgical instrument maker, played a major part in Bowie knife history by fabricating several knives for Reason Bowie. Reason probably met Shively during a trip he made to Philadelphia to see the famous Dr. Pepper for an eye ailment. The English, with a knife-making tradition dating back to the 13th century, were soon to sense the burgeoning demand for knives for the American market and began to produce blades that would appeal to the frontiersmen. This clip-pointed etched blade is symbolic of the English knives that would soon account for 95% of the knives sold in America. The same type coffin hilt knife is shown worn in the belt of the Cherokee chief Tai Chi in this famous 1830 photograph. Inscribed Arkansas Toothpick on the blade, this was an attempt by the English makers to appeal to the frontiersmen. At that time, in the mid-1830s, Arkansas was the frontier. Original to the knife is a beautiful leather polychrome scabbard with Indian design. By the end of the 1830s and into the 1840s, the design of the Bowie knife started to show a definite style. The coffin-type handle evolved into different configurations, but still retained the spear and clip-point blade forms of the early knives from the 1830s. This gold-mounted Bowie is one of the most beautiful early knives known, probably American-made, dating from the late 1830s to the 1840s. It has a solid silver scabbard, clip-point blade, and all the hilt mountings surrounding the bone grip are solid gold. An interesting feature of this knife is the filigree at the base, which is known as a Spanish notch. No one really knows what it was used for. It was believed by collectors that this was a catch or foil for another knife engaged in combat. But most likely, the notch is a decorative form taken from a Spanish blade of a much earlier time that probably had a nautical use. Another rare and intriguing knife from the late 1830s is this model with a solid silver scabbard. The wooden handle is silver mounted with studs and escutcheon plaques engraved with the very intriguing inscriptions L. Kimball on one side and Vicksburg on the other, showing its southern origin. It also has a clip-point blade and retains the Spanish notch. This example of a Sheffield-made knife by Butcher has again the Spanish notch. It is equipped with a rosewood handle mounted in German silver and comes with a leather composite German silver mounted sheath. An early fringed leather frontier scabbard adorns this late 1830s style English knife by Butcher, again with a Spanish notch and German silver mounted hilt. This ivory-handled German silver mounted knife is a very interesting variation, featuring a serrated edge. Made by James Rogers of Sheffield, it also has an abbreviated clip-point blade and bears the intriguing frontier motto, Arkansas Toothpick. A similar example by Rogers of Sheffield in a spear-point blade. George Wolstenholme Sheffield was one of the early makers that catered to the American market in a big way. Their trademark was IXL, which literally means I excel. This rare early American-made knife from the late 1830s has a solid silver scabbard incorporating the Spanish notch. A distinguishing feature is the very pronounced semi-clip point blade. It is mounted and studded in coin silver with an ivory handle. This English knife is unmarked but probably made by Butcher of Sheffield. It has a decorative Spanish notch with German silver mounted hilt and comes complete with an original leather scabbard. One of the most intriguing and important knives of this period is this rare model by Samuel Bell of Knoxville, Tennessee. Samuel Bell was in Knoxville in the late 1830s when Knoxville was just a mountain town. This example, that was probably imported from England and marked with his own name, is mounted in German silver with mother-of-pearl handles and has a thong hole on the pommel. An interesting feature are the serrations on top of the blade, and it comes complete with an original embossed leather sheath. Samuel Bell later migrated to Texas and made a solid silver set of spurs for Sam Houston. The 1840s to 1860s were the halcyon days for the Bowie knife. By 1845, the selection of styles, shapes, and materials proliferated as the knife makers of England had their grinding wheels turning continuously, supplying the heavy demand of a more sophisticated and ever-expanding American market. In equal sophistication to the English makers is this rare American-made knife by Alfred Hunter in the late 1840s. It features an elongated clip-point blade. Hunter, a surgical knife maker in New York who later moved to New Jersey, also fashioned this exquisite handle of incised carved ivory. It comes complete with a leather silver mounted scabbard. Mother of Pearl was also very popular. This Bowie, made by Irwin Rogers of Sheffield, has an extra heavy long spear point blade. It is mounted in German silver and has an original leather sheath. Rose, another American surgical knife maker, working in New York during the 1840s, made this unusual specimen with a beautiful spiral ivory handle capped by a silver pommel and features a narrow semi-clip point blade. Greaves & Son, Sheaf Works at Sheffield, made this unusual spear point blade Bowie with somewhat hefty proportions, fitted with an ivory handle. The German silver pommel is curved in the form of a bird beak in order for it to remain firmly in the grasp of the user's hand. One of the most beautiful, rarest, and desirable knives in this collection is this massive Bowie with a clip point blade made by Broomhead & Thomas, Sheffield. It is mounted in mother of pearl with German silver featuring a crown pommel and crossguard and retains a decorative Spanish notch on the underside of the blade. The matching scabbard is most unusual and sought after. Made of red leatherette and fitted with decorative mounts, it is stamped the celebrated Arkansas Toothpick in gold. A similar knife also has a crown pommel, German silver mountings, and mother of pearl handle. It is made by Broomhead & Thomas. Also bears a Spanish notch and the clip point blade. This interesting knife of somewhat different proportions and configuration is unmarked. Undoubtedly of Sheffield origin, it has a clip point blade and mounted in German silver with a shell pommel fitted over a carved ivory handle. The German silver mounted scabbard is of embossed leatherette and features a horse racing scene and the tiny words at the bottom, Sheffield. Another classic and most desirable Bowie knife, marked Sheffield Works. This knife is believed to be made in America, and the word Sheffield was put on it to cater to the people liking Sheffield-made knives. It's probably made in the late 1840s and is mounted with an iron crossguard, German silver pommel, ivory handle, and is studded in German silver. The scabbard is very beautiful, mounted in German silver with embossed leather. This somewhat more primitive looking knife has a Spanish notch, is made by Congreves, Sheffield, and is marked Celebrated Hunting Knife on its pronounced clip point blade. It has a crown-shaped pommel and a decorative ivory handle bearing a medallion escutcheon. One of the more intriguing designs devised by the Sheffield makers to appeal to the American regional taste was the half-horse, half-alligator pommel motif. The inspiration for this pattern came from a song written by Samuel Woodward, author of Oaken Bucket, to commemorate the services rendered by the hunters of Kentucky during the Battle of New Orleans in 1815. Three of the stanzas read, "And if a daring foe annoys, whate'er his strength or forces, we'll show them that Kentucky boys are alligator horses. For every man was half a horse and half an alligator." This song boasted the prowess of the frontiersmen, and these hilts were very popular. However, today they are quite rare. This assemblage of 9 is one of the largest groups of alligator and half-horse, half-alligator knives known. This Bowie knife by Woodhead and Hartley, Sheffield, is marked with the rare No. 7 Lambert Street address, of which only 3 are known. It has the legend American Hunting Knife on its semi-spear point blade. It is mounted in German silver and fitted with an ivory handle bearing an escutcheon plaque. Another Woodhead and Hartley, marked with the later 36 Howard Street address, Sheffield, also bears ivory handles and German silver pommel. This is a larger knife marked cast steel Bowie knife on a clip point blade and is adorned in like fashion. This spear point blade, made by Tillotson and Son, Sheffield, has horn grips. A half-horse, half-alligator patriotic knife made by Barnes & Son, Sheffield. It has a brilliant etched motto on the blade done against a gold background and features an eagle carrying a riband which says, "American Bowie Knife," with the motto "Toothpick" beneath. To the left, Americans ask for nothing but what is right and submit to nothing that is wrong. To the right, the United States, land of the free and home of the brave, protected by her noble and brave volunteers. Another similar half-horse, half-alligator pommel knife made by Barnes has a large oval crossguard and bears no motto. Butcher, Sheffield, produced an all-alligator pommel Bowie knife that was very elegantly made. Capped in German silver with mother-of-pearl scales, it has a clip-point blade. Other decorative examples of the 1840 to 1850 period included the Horsehead Pommel. Like the alligator knives, these are quite rare and sought after. This particular knife, with a clip point blade and matching scabbard, has interesting coiled snake quillons, signifying the pioneer motto, "Don't tread on me." In conjunction with the horsehead motif, a winged American eagle and shield are displayed in high relief. The next knife, made by Edward Barnes & Son, Sheffield, bears a beautiful horsehead pommel and ornate crossguard in German silver, highlighted by an ebony-type wood handle, clip-point blade, and comes with an original leather sheath. This similar example with a spear-point blade is made by James Rogers and is fitted with a stag handle. Deviating from the horsehead pommel were other decorative forms like this particularly ornate Bowie knife bearing a mother-of-pearl hilt and German silver handle with foliate motifs on the guard, and the pommel bears game scenes in high relief. The long clip-point blade is quite beautiful and is fitted with a matching decorative sheath. This is a very unusual style Bowie knife by Henry Booth, Sheffield. Mounted with horn scales and capped in mother of pearl, the handle is set with a decorative escutcheon. The blade is a spear point type with unusual pronounced serrated edges. This rare American model was made by Samuel Jackson, Baltimore. It has a spear point blade, ivory handle, German silver pommel, and sheath equipped with a frog stud. A knife that would have appealed to the frontiersman, a very rare model, boldly etched Arkansan toothpick. It is possibly of French origin and is marked manufactured for F.C. Gergen, New Orleans, on the back of its clip-point blade. The horn handle is finely checkered and is capped in German silver. William Webster of Sheffield made this decorative ivory grip Bowie with matching red gilt embossed scabbard. The blade is etched with a beautiful foliate design, early train, steamship, and the word dispatch. This clip-point blade, marked Sheaf Island Works, Sheffield, was made by William Jackson. It has a rare lion head pommel and is fitted with polished horn scales inset with mother-of-pearl and a medallion escutcheons. It has a beautiful foliate etched blade with the motto, "A Sure Defense." One of the most impressive and rare Bowies in existence is this massive knife with an unusually long 14.5-inch clip-point blade. It is most likely American made and is mounted with an iron cross guard and pommel cap and features a round ivory serrated grip. The matching leather scabbard is silver bound and bears the intriguing engraved inscription J. Leach, San Antonio, 1847 on the throat mount. In 1847, the United States was now at war with Mexico and the Southwest was in a state of turmoil. Zachary Taylor soon emerged as the new inspiration for the Sheffield makers to execute and expand their knife designs. The next knife, marked O'Regan's, is quite ornate and commemorates the deeds of 1847 and is known as the Old Zack knife. It bears a likeness of Zachary Taylor stamped on the blade with a riband marked Buena Vista and another to the left stamped Rough and Ready, which was Zachary Taylor's nickname from his exploits in the War of 1812. Zachary Taylor became an instant hero in America after his stunning victories in the Mexican War at the battles of Palo Alto, Buena Vista, and Resaca de la Palma, which eventually propelled him to the White House. This beautiful knife is a perfect example of a 19th century cutlery art form. It is almost in mint condition, fitted with rosewood handles and mounted in German silver. Equally intriguing is the scabbard, which bears a likeness of General Taylor and an American eagle and shield. This large Bowie knife by Wolstenholme, who produced the largest quantity of Old Zack knives, is marked with their famous IXL trademark and shows a likeness of General Taylor stamped in silhouette mounted on his horse on the ricasso. The hilt is of German silver and mounted in mother of pearl. 1 year later, in 1848, an event took place that rocked the world and eclipsed the attention away from Old Zack. Gold was discovered at Sutter's Mill in California and the stampede to the mother lode was on. The Sheffield knife makers were soon to come out with a design that would capture the fancy of the would-be miners heading for the gold fields. This knife by Woodhead is a perfect example. Its clip-point blade is ornately etched with an American eagle, patriotic mottos, and panel scenes captioned California Gold at the Diggings and Celebrated American Bowie Knife. It's mounted in German silver with horn grips inset with a medallion and bone pommel. The original scabbard is covered over with another older leather scabbard. This knife, made by Tillotson, appealed to the would-be gold hunter with a clip-point blade that is fully and beautifully etched Gold Hunter's Knife. E pluribus unum beneath, an eagle, and even the words Palo Alto, which are reminiscent of the glorious victories of the Mexican War of 1847. German silver hilted, it has a rare reclining lion pommel with mother of pearl scales and an S-shaped crossguard. It still retains its original embossed leather scabbard marked California Gold Finder. This large Bowie by Wolstenholme is marked with their IXL trademark and bears a large California knife etched motto on the lower portion of the blade. A stamped silhouette of Andrew Jackson mounted on his horse is on the ricasso. The hilt is German silver and mounted in mother of pearl. It comes with an original embossed scabbard stamped the real hunting knife. One of the most beautiful and unusual Gold Rush knives is this Sheffield-made model utilizing the half-horse, half-alligator motif combined with a raised buffalo head on the crossguard. The clip-point blade is beautifully etched Gold Seeker's Protector. It retains its original red leatherette scabbard mounted in German silver. This large Sheffield knife has seen much use but still retains some of its etching which reads California Knife on its spear-point blade. It has a stag grip set with a medallion and retains a half-horse, half-alligator pommel. Among the most beautiful and exotic of all Bowie and Gold Rush period knives were those made in San Francisco by the early knife makers who settled there beginning around 1850. They worked from native materials like silver, staghorn, abalone shell, gold, and walrus ivory. Their quality of workmanship and design combined to develop a unique style all of their own. Today, San Francisco-made knives are among those most coveted by collectors. This dress dagger is a perfect example. It has a solid silver sheath with a belt clip, silver handle trimmed in gold and mounted with a beautiful gold escutcheon. While unmarked, there is little doubt that this is a San Francisco product of 1850s. Rarest of all Gold Rush California knives is this one made by Hugh McConnell. It has a staghorn grip mounted in iron, beautifully polished blade, marked Hugh McConnell, San Francisco. McConnell was one of San Francisco's early knife makers and began production around 1850. It still retains a beautiful embossed leather scabbard mounted in silver. On the back is a belt clip which bears the exotic marking H. McConnell San Cal. This is the only known example of a knife marked by Hugh McConnell. With a grip bearing abalone shell mosaics and gold insets bound in silver, this gold-mounted San Francisco Bowie is unsigned but embraces some of the features found on knives made by Michael Price. This polished spear-point blade is neatly ensconced in a solid silver sheath fitted with a belt clip and gold medallion plaque. Another unique, unmarked San Francisco knife has a horn handle mounted in silver and set with silver studs and gold arrowhead medallion. It has a spear-point blade. The silver scabbard is most unusual as the central portion is inlaid with horn and gold plaque matching the grip. It also has a belt clip typical of San Francisco knives. Among the most exquisite of all the San Francisco made knives are those made by Michael Price. This deluxe dress knife, made around 1860, is one of his most beautiful and exotic creations. The walrus ivory hilt, typical of San Francisco knives, is studded and inlaid in solid gold. The polished spear-point blade is marked M. Price, San Francisco. The scabbard with belt clip is solid silver and fully engraved with a hunting scene. This small push dagger by Willin Fink, another of San Francisco's premier knife makers, around 1860, has a walrus ivory handle. The shank is marked Willin Fink and is scroll engraved from top to bottom. With the advent of the Civil War, the Bowie knife's usage and popularity reached its zenith. Troops in the North and South carried a variety of knives brandishing patriotic slogans and design from both foreign and domestic manufacturers. Popular with Union soldiers was this spear-point knife by James Rogers of Sheffield, which bore a hilt and pommel boasting patriotic eagle motifs. Or like this small Sheffield dirk by Butcher, etched with the slogan, U.S., the land of the free and home of the brave. A knife designed to heighten Northern sentiment was this patriotic model by the Sheffield maker Hill & Son, bearing the slogan, Death to Traitors, on its spear-point blade. It is equipped with a decorative checkered wooden handle and spring catch mounted in the scabbard. Maker of surgical knives, Chevalier in New York produced this rare domestic model, marked Chevalier Union Knife on one side of its clip-pointed blade, and Death to Traitors on the opposite. Bowie knives were an affinity to the Southern soldier. Tennessee First, engraved on the stag handle of the Sheffield knife by James Westa, was quickly adapted to show Southern sentiment and is artfully etched, Victory to our brave volunteers. The Bowie knife's traditional popularity in the South was undoubtedly an asset during wartime. As the South grew short of war materials and munitions, a greater reliance was put upon edged weapons made from native materials. A perfect example is this large Marshall Bowie knife. Although this knife blade is made from a file, it is professionally finished. Traces of file marks near the brass crossguard remain. The handle is made from native hickory, while the leather scabbard is mounted in tin. This intriguing New Orleans push dagger reveals the clandestine role it played during wartime by the commemorative inscription engraved on the upper scabbard mount. It reads, Taken from a rebel spy, captured by C.G. Thornton, 12th Maine Volunteers, New Orleans, 1862. Historically, it would be hard to surpass this continental-made naval dirk etched on one side, presented to John T. Wood, and on the other, from his shipmates aboard the CSS Virginia, March 9, 1862. John T. Wood was one of the South's greatest heroes and garnered the crew for the CSS Virginia, which was newly refitted in iron and renamed the Merrimac. The Merrimac would soon engage the ironclad Monitor in one of the most historic naval battles in history. The scabbard is of German silver, adorned with a dolphin-shaped tip and belt clip. The grip is wrapped in rayskin. The George Washington Bowie is one of the most impressive knives that was ever made. It symbolizes the culmination and embraces the Victorian ideal of the ultimate Bowie knife. Its massive 15-inch clip-point blade is beautifully etched George Wolstenholme and Sons IXL Washington hunting knife. Above, an intricate panel scene depicts Mount Vernon. The crossguard is beautifully rendered, while the pommel prominently displays the famous IXL marquee. The handle is magnificently carved in mother of pearl with a detailed high-relief portrait of George Washington. This was obviously an exhibition or display knife made by Wolstenholme, who were the most prolific of the Sheffield makers, to demonstrate their proficiency in and mastery of the knife maker's art. In my opinion, if there is a king of knives, this is it.